Again in this channel where we look about different issues across Africa, but sometimes we cross outside the continent of Africa, wherever there is an interesting story that affect Africa also. So today we want to look about the status of Europe, especially the Western Europe, or sometimes we call it a civilized society, or Western Europe. We want to look about what is going on in Europe and what the Europeans have allowed to continue or to go on in their own cities, in their neighborhoods, in their streets, in their nations. So what is going on in Europe, for sure, it is sad for me because sometimes Europe has been a symbol of some good issues that the other world we are learning from Europe. But today, what is going on in Europe, for sure, it is very sad. That's why we want to look here that is Europe tired of peace, development, order, civilization? Is Europe tired of what we call a first world? Maybe they want to go third world. Why are they allowing such chaos to continue in their nations? So we want to talk about these issues. I welcome you wherever you're watching us from. Maybe it's from Nigeria, maybe it's from America, maybe it's from Europe, United Kingdom, Canada, Australia, Israel, wherever you are watching us from. We want to discuss this, and I welcome you to share with me in your comments. But share this channel, like and subscribe so that we can continue engaging in a peaceful way. Here we want to discuss. We are not against anyone. We don't want to attack anyone. We are not racist. We don't favor blacks. We don't favor whiteys. We don't favor Arabs or Jews or whatever. But we want to have conversations and discussions that can enhance our lives. So, for years now, Europe has been portrayed as a symbol of some good stuffs. Europe has been portrayed, or it has portrayed itself as a symbol of good stuffs that even me from Africa, I would like to learn from those good issues that the Europeans or the whiteys they built for years, and then the other places in the world we are learning from Europe. To mention a few of those stuffs, Europe for years has been portraying itself as a place of peace. That's why people from other places in the world are trying to enter into Europe because they are looking for peace. So Europe has been a symbol of peace, especially the Western Europe, England, France, Germany, Italy, and other nations of the Western world or Western Europe. They have been symbol of peace for years. That's why even people, those who hate Europe, especially our brothers from North Africa and other parts of the Asia, or the Muslims, they portray or they call Europe as a haram nations. Yet they cannot, when they want to immigrate, they want to go into Europe. And sometimes once they are in Europe, they want to use the systems, the well-established system there, to torment or to try to turn Europe into something else. So Europe has been portrayed as a symbol of peace For years, Europe has been portrayed as a symbol of peace. That's why people from all over the world, even me, I would like to live in Europe because of peace. In other places in the world, sometimes we experience peace, but not a real peace. Not a real peace. So Europe has been a symbol of peace. That's why anybody wants to go in Europe. Even those who oppose Europe, they want to be in Europe. For some reasons, they want to be in Europe. Again, Europe has been a symbol of civilization. Europe has been a symbol of civilizations for years. Civilization that was built on what we call Judeo-Christians. They have managed themselves to have some sort of they have built some civilizations that outside nations they want to learn, and also we want to be in Europe because of civilizations that they have built for years. But what they have built for years, it seems that they are tired of civilization, and now they want to be uncivilized because of what they have allowed to get in Europe. Now it seems to me that Europe or Europeans or whites or some, maybe their leaders, these liberals and what Trump said, the radical lefty, they are trying to sabotage Europe. Maybe they are tired of civilization. Again, Europe has been a symbol of order. There is order in Europe. Their cities, however they conduct their issues, how they deal in businesses, in sports, there is order in Europe compared maybe to other parts of the world. But now, chaotic that we see in England, the chaos that we see in Paris, the chaos that we see in Italy, in Germany. For example, now you see the chaos during the season, during the festival season, maybe in Christmas, maybe in Passover and other festivals in Europe. Now it is chaotic. People fear to go outside to celebrate because of some people who have been imported from Asia and other parts of the world, and they are terrorizing the Europeans. We have seen this in this festival season. We saw the last year in Germany there, where somebody went into a Christmas market and it stamped or killed some people by a car, a man run over. And that man was from Saudi Arabia, was invited from Saudi Arabia, and he killed people in Germany. So Europe and the Europeans portray themselves as civilized people. But now if Europe goes in this space, in this manner, maybe 50 years or 100 years to come, Europe will no longer be a place of civilization. Maybe Europe will be again the third world. Welcome to third world. So again, Europe has been a symbol of democracy for years. Europe has been a symbol of democracy for years. Maybe you can say since the end of the Second World War, Europeans said themselves, we want to build society based on democracy. So Europe has been also a symbol of democracy, a symbol for democracy. But if Europe continue like this in the state they are in now, and they allow this chaotic, and they want to favor people maybe based on their religion, based on their color, based on maybe some sort of how people they are, and you don't hold on values that kept Europe great, maybe for some times there will be no true democracy in Europe. Maybe there will be no true democracy in Europe. Now, again, Europe for years has been portrayed as a symbol of freedom. There is freedom in Europe. Freedom of expression, freedom, personal freedom, There is freedom of worship. There is freedom of worship in Europe. For years, they have allowed whatever religion or faith or whatever you believe in, they give you expression, they give you chance to be who you are, to express yourself who you are, regardless of your religion, regardless of what you believe in. They have been a symbol. Europe has been a symbol of freedom, freedom of expression, political freedom, and other kinds of freedom. That's why, as I said earlier, even people who term Europe as a source of evil around the globe, yet they don't want to go to other places. They want to be in Europe. Today we are talking about Europe. We are talking about Europe. For example, our brothers, our fellow Muslims, most of them, they support China, they support North Korea, they support Russia. Most of them, not all of them, most of them, for whatever reasons and for whatever they believe in, they tend to support these nations. But when they want to immigrate, they don't want to go in China. They don't want to go in North Korea. They don't want to go in Russia. They run to Europe, especially Western Europe. They want to be in France. They want to be in England. They want to be in Spain. They want to be in Italy. They want to be in other places of Europe. They don't want to be in China. They don't want to be in North Korea. They don't want to be in Russia. Despite that, they call Western Europe as Harlem and all bad names. They say maybe Europeans are source of evil around the globe. They colonized that, they did this and this, yet they want to be in those nations. They call themselves a source of evil, that Europeans are the one who are spreading evil. They want to do this and this, all bad things are attributed to Europe. Yet these people want to be in it. Why? They want to be in Europe because in Europe, everyone is given a chance to express themselves. You are given a chance in Europe to be who you are, to express your religion, your opinions, your views without any interference. The bad issue is that these people whom are being invited, you feel pity of people. You show mercy to these people. You feel compassion to them because of what they are going on in their nations. People from Syria, people from Yemen, people from Saudi Arabia, people from Somalia, people from other parties in the world. The problem is they have their own hidden agenda. They are not just looking for green pasture. They are not just learning from war-torn places, but they have their own agenda in Europe. They want to turn Europe in something else. And that's why always I say there is a war against Christianity and Jews. There is a global war, a hidden agenda, a global war against Jews and Christians. There is a war going on against the Jews and Christians. Why? Because these people believe that Europe is a source of Christianity. So they want to sabotage Europe. They want to change Europe from within. That is what Donald Trump says, that enemy from within. What will make Europe fall is not outside enemies, but enemy from within. Those people who have been allowed unchecked to enter into Europe are the one turning Europe, turning European cities into third world cities. The chaos in Europe is destroying Europe. Why do you feel pity about people who want to kill your kids? People who rape your kids? People who terrorize your kids? And I cannot understand why European politicians have allowed this mess to be in their cities. Why can you allow a proud Europe that even us from other places, we were learning from Europe, their civilization, their order, their developments, their streets, their success. We are learning from them. But now you are allowing this chaos. Why are you allowing this? So, again, Europe, for years, Europe has been portrayed as a symbol of development. There is development in Europe. Other places from the other parts of the world were learning from Europe. So Europe has been a symbol of development. But now it seems that growth in Europe has stopped. The economy is not growing. Almost everything in Europe is diminishing, is decaying, as Trump said. Europe is decaying. That's why you see now European politicians running to China to make deals with China. So China is rising, India is rising, even Africa is rising. So maybe in a few years, as we say, soon or later, Europe will fall. But it's not too yet. It's not too late. You can save Europe. Save Europe from chaos. These people you are allowing in unchecked, they are destroying Europe. So Europeans think maybe they are too smart, they understand much, and when sometimes people say like this, maybe they have their own interpretation, but it is true. These people you are allowing in Europe, they are killing Europe. They are destroying Europe. Maybe you will be a third world again in some times. And I have said maybe in a few years to come, Europe will be a center of terrorism because of what they have allowed. You have seen that these radical teachings that are not being allowed in Saudi, that is not allowed. Some imams and some religious leaders and organizations like Muslim Brotherhoods, the organizations that have been banned in Egypt, in UAE, in Saudi Arabia, and some preachers and radical teachings, radical faith that are not allowed in Saudi Arabia, whether it is a source of that religion. They are not allowing some imams and some preachers there, but those preachers are being allowed to go free in Europe. That's why you are seeing chaotic. And I cannot understand. These people who kill your people, how do you continue allowing them? Why do you give them free access to Europe? That people are teaching radicalization, are radicalizing your young men, yet you are allowing them. Why Saudi Arabia is banning? Maybe you can say this because of freedom of worship. No, it is not a freedom of worship. These people are taking advantage of Europe. The weak leaders in Europe, the well-established system, the legal system in Europe is being taken advantage of people, of radical faith. So if you continue like this, if you continue allowing this chaos, sometime I can dare to say that maybe Europe sometime will be a center of terrorism and chaos. You have seen these stabbings in Europe, in England, in Germany, in other places. Why? Because these people have been allowed. So as Winston Churchill said, you cannot negotiate with a lion when your head is in its mouth. You don't allow people who come and rape your daughters. You don't allow people who come and indoctrinate and radicalize your young men. You don't allow these people. You don't allow these people. Why do you allow these people? So you are welcome, my brother. You are welcome. Yes, if you have answer, you have a question to ask. You are free. Welcome here, and we can discuss together. We can discuss together. Welcome. We can discuss together. We are now discussing about Europe, what is going on in Europe, and the chaos that has been allowed to continue freely in Europe. And if Europe continue like this, what will happen? So we are asking those patriots from different places, Christians, pastors, rise, pray for Europe, save Europe from enemies from outside. If you do not do so, what the Europe we know in a few years to come will not be same Europe that we hoped for, and the Europe that people are proud of. Especially for Christians in Europe, you must rise, pastors rise. Don't allow people to terrorize you. We have seen chaos, this chaotic, the Palestine demonstrations. Why do you allow Palestinian demonstrations in England, in Paris, in Berlin, than in Egypt? Why no Palestinian demonstration in Egypt, in Riyadh? Why not in Mecca? Why not in Islamabad? Why not in Qatar? Why not in Dubai? Why not in this camping, this university and college camping? Why are not taking place in universities in Egypt there? Egypt is neighbor to Gaza. Do you think you care much about Palestine and Palestinians than Saudis, than Qataris, than United Arab Emirates, than Iran? Why Iran, which says is standing with Palestine, is not taking a single Palestinian into Iran? Why the Egyptians, they have built a massive border against Gaza, but English, Germans, French are the ones who care much about Palestine. You are killing your nations. We are telling you the truth. And we are not saying that you should not care about Palestine and the Palestinian. Yes, you must care. But you don't allow chaotic people. You don't allow religions that have failed in their own nations to come into your nation and try to lecture you about tolerance and religion. This you call religion tolerance, and what we call coexistence. Why they don't allow coexistence in their own nations? Why there is no freedom for Christians and for Jews in Arabic nations and Islamic nations? Why? Why they are being allowed to build their mosques and their place of worship in Europe, in England, but not in Saudi Arabia? Why there is no, why Christians are not enjoying the same freedom our brothers enjoy in Western Europe, in England? When you will see a Jew elected as a mayor, maybe of Riyadh or Cairo or Dubai or Islamabad or Tehran, when you will see that, Yes, so Europeans leaders should push this, should push this, should push this. If they want freedom in Europe, which Europe is termed as nations that were built based on Judeo-Christian values, these leaders, Keir Starmer, Emmanuel Macron, Friedrich Merz, Giorgio Meloni, you must tell your peers that they should also allow gospel to be preached in Saudi Arabia. Gospel to be preached. Can you see demonstrations supporting Jews in Riyadh? It can happen. Can you see demonstrations supporting Jews in Cairo? Can that be allowed? Can you see demonstrations supporting Christianity and Judaism and standing for Jews, supporting Zionism? Can you see Zionism demonstration in Tehran? So why European leaders are not pushing this? All they care is votes from immigrants, because this is a political capital for these leftists and liberals in Europe. That's why they are fearful. They cannot face this threat that is terrorizing Europe, because what they care, they only care about votes. Votes. They care about votes, immigrant votes. That's why they depend. So if these leaders and the Europeans don't stand up to save their own nations, the problems you are facing in the streets, maybe your leaders are not experiencing this chaos. That's why they don't care. They allow this. So, as we said, we are not racist, and we don't oppose anybody's religion and faith. But what we are against is this, is one religion to be favored than another. So there should be no limitations for all religions and all faith to practice their own belief and religion in all religions, in all nations, in all places. If Islam is being allowed in Europe, if they're enjoying their freedom, also Christianity or Judaism should be allowed in other places. In Baghdad, in Afghanistan there, in Saudi Arabia, in Pakistan, in Qatar, in United Arab Emirates. Thank God some Arabic nations are trying to change, are starting to change. They have realized that the view and a radical faith that they have been advocating for years is not paying them. So they are changing. So if Saudi Arabia is changing, if United Arab Emirates is changing, so why these ideologies that have not helped to build Asia, they are now being seen as suitable in Europe? If people beat nations based on Sharia law and this Islam thing, and it didn't pay, it didn't work out, it only produced chaos and people wanting to risk their life to go into Europe. But these ideologies, like Muslim Brotherhood, that have been banned, have not been produced, have not delivered in those nations, why do you allow it in your nations? If these ideologies have not worked, have not paid, have not developed, have not improved the lives of people in those parties of the world, why now are you allowing it in Europe? So if it didn't work in Saudi Arabia, if it didn't work in Egypt, do you expect it to work in England, in UK, in Germany, in France, in Italy? No, it will not work. It will not work. Only these people are taking advantage of your nations. They are taking advantage of your well-established legal system. This nation will fail. Europe will go down if you don't work up. So patriots, Christians, pray for your nations. There is a plot. There is a hidden agenda. There is a global war to take Christianity out of mainstream lives. That's why these leaders, these liberals and leftists, they know their political capital. Sometimes they are getting massive support from these immigrants. The support is coming from these immigrants. That's why people like Emmanuel Macron, they are weak. Sometimes people like Keir Starmer, they are weak to stand against this radical faith because they know they will lose their support. But if you allow, if you want to be what Trump says, you want to be politically correct, so it is by your own risk. You want to be correct politically, but at the cost of what you have built for years. And maybe European will cry. Soon or later, Europe will cry. I assure you. Soon or later. Think Europe in 200 years to come. How London will be. How Paris will be. How Milan will be. How Munich will be. How Berlin will be. If you allow these people to come unchecked, and they don't want to be assimilated, they don't want to be German, they don't want to be English, they don't want to be Italians, they want to remain with their own mindset of third world. They enter into Europe and they terrorize your women in the streets, they groom your daughters, they radicalize your young men, they don't adhere to your values and the civilizations, and you cannot deport them. Once you want to deport them, they run to court because your system is well established, and you say you care for human rights. So do you care for human rights? If people have broken other people's rights, do you care for their own rights? People who rape your daughters, people who groom young girls, and you want to deport them. And this radical left run to court, and these radical judges, these leftist judges, they protect rapists. They oh my God. They protect rapists. They protect these people who terrorize your people. Is this Europe you want? We people from other places of the world, we are seeing Europe as a model of civilization, of order, of development, of democracy. So why do you want to demolish? Why do you want to destroy Europe from within? Are you tired of being referred as a first world? You now want to go third world? Peaceful nations like Sweden. Now you are witnessing chaos in Sweden. And And some places, some streets in Sweden, there are no go zone in Sweden. So a Swedish man cannot walk free to some parties in Sweden. In Sweden, we hear even in England there are some zones that you are not allowed to go. Are you tired of prosperous Europe? Order, civilization, development, democracy, freedom of speech, freedom of expression, all kind of freedom. Are you tired of enjoying that status? Okay, if you are tired, just go on. If you are tired of being a first world, try these ideologies that didn't help others. Maybe they will help you. Try allowing people coming in Europe unchecked. As Trump said, people who don't want to change, they don't want to work, they don't want to be assimilated, they don't want to be part of your society. They go there with their own agendas. They want to destroy Europe from within. They want to establish Sharia law. Continue allowing them. If ideologies didn't work in Africa, didn't work in the Middle East, do you think they will work in Europe? For just votes, you leaders of Europe, you are destroying Europe. What Europe will your grandchildren will live? What Europe will look like in maybe 100 years to come, in 200 years to come, if you continue allowing this? Europeans will be outnumbered, and maybe Europe will be something else. Maybe you can say this will not happen. Try to look. It has already happened. Some places in Asia that were known as Christians, now no longer Christians nation. Look into Lebanon, what Lebanon has turned to be. Lebanon was once a Christian majority nation, was a peaceful nation, was known as police or friends of Middle East, but they allowed Islamists to come in, and look now in Lebanon. Look in Bethlehem, a place of birth of our Lord Jesus Christ. Once was a Christian majority, but since Israel left, now Christians is just like 20% of the population there. These ideologies have not worked. Have not made any nation in Asia to be a superpower. In Africa, in Asia, and wherever, has not helped. So if people don't want to assimilate, you allow people to come into Sweden, and they don't want to be Swedish. You allow people to come into British. For years they are in British, they cannot even speak English. And they don't consider themselves as English. I heard some interview, I was watching YouTube sometimes. It was an interview, if I'm not mistaken, from England, United Kingdom. And the interview was asking people that if now there is a war between England and Afghanistan, in which side will you fight? And they said, for sure, I will fight in the side of Afghanistan. A person has been allowed, they learn from their own nations, seeking refuge in England, and if there is war between England and Afghanistan, they will stand against England. They will fight against England, against the UK. This is a shame. And these leaders, for sure I know, these leaders like Emmanuel Macron, whom they want to pretend they care much about Palestine. Imagine France cannot help Congo. In most former colonies of France, there are chaos, there are war, there are coup, and every kind of chaotic. But France cannot help a French-speaking nation of Congo, cannot help Burkina Faso, Mali, and their former colonies, but they care about Palestine. Do you think French cares much, or France cares much, Macron cares much about Palestine than Congo, whether they speak French? No. These people, they want votes from immigrants, of most of whom are Muslims, are from Muslim nations. That's why they pretend that they care much about these people. They don't care much about Palestine. They don't care much about the Palestinians. But all they want is to please their voters who support Palestine. That's why they allow chaos in Europe, in England, because this what Trump says, radical left, their political capital is these immigrants are the one who voted for Macron in his second term, are the one who are voting for this radical left, all liberals and leftists in Europe are the one who are voting for them. That's why they want to keep them, because they know without those immigrants they cannot win in elections. That's why they want to recognize Palestine. Not that they care much about Palestine, no, but they want votes. So if you citizens of Europe, you will allow this, you are the one who will be affected much. These leaders sometimes they don't feel the chaos in the streets. They don't live the life of normal citizens. That's why they don't care. They have the same language. Wherever you see people have been killed, have been terrorized, have been stabbed, maybe some people have run off with the car to run off to people. They have, you can predict their language. Our thought, we thought we saw, we stand in solidarity, we saw and saw, we condemn in strongest term. This so and so is not allowed in our society. You can predict their language. These leaders, they don't live the life of normal citizens. They cannot feel, because their families are secured, are protected. They don't live a life of a normal, of a single mother who is struggling to raise her kids in a street, who fears when her kids go to street whether they will return safe. These leaders don't feel. That's why they don't care. They don't care. All they know is to condemn in strongest term. As I said, you can predict their language. Once you see a terrorist attack somewhere, you can predict their languages. We stand in solidarity. This is not acceptable in a society. We condemn in the strongest term. So our thought is, thoughts and the prayer will not change Europe. You have to deal with this. Deport these radical people. Deport with these people. If some imams, can you go in Saudi Arabia and preach hate? The Saudis will deport you immediately. Try to go in Qatar and preach some hate. Try to preach some radicalization in Qatar. The Qataris will deport you immediately. But why not in Europe? Why not in UK? Eh? A person has killed your people and is not a citizen of Europe, yet you are protecting him because of rights. What right remains for a person who has been invited as a refuge, and comes and kill your people and rape your daughters and groom young girls? What rights do these people have? Of course they have right, but deport them to their own nations. Deport them to their own. Don't allow these radical issues to come and let people celebrate Christmas freely, without fear. Let young girls, let young women walk free in the street without fear. So now people should fear to walk downtown in Europe, in England, in Berlin, in Paris. People should fear. Huh? Is this Europe? Is this civilized Europe? Why are you abandoning your civilization that all people from other places were learning from you? Why are you abandoning this? Why are you abandoning this? Why Europe should turn into a third world nations, into a third world places? Why this madness, these uncivilized behaviors? I was watching some video from Paris in Eiffel Tower. I don't know if I pronounce it well. And some immigrants selling stuffs in the street. Oh, I said, my God, is this Europe? Is this France? Eh? These behaviors of third world people has been allowed. Oh my God. Let Europe at least remain a place that we can learn. Even leaders from developing nations can learn the order, the rule of law, the civilization, clean streets, respect of people's properties. You now witness what we call pocket picking in Europe. Now it is very dangerous, even in England. So what civilization are you boasting of again? So Europe is turning into a third world. If you don't wake up, Europe will be no longer Europe for coming years, for few years to come. Europe will not be Europe. And I insist again, I emphasize and emphasize, we are not against any people. We are not against any people emigrating to other places. Even me, I would like to immigrate. But let people come in a legal way. Let people come to add values to your nations. Let those people who you allow in, let them come to add values, not to come and establish and behave like people from other places. Let there first be a mental revolution. If a person has decided to be in England, why do you want to be a Somalian in England? Why do you want to be an Afghanistan in England? Why do you want to be a Tanzanian, a Kenyan in England? No, once you are in England, be first an English. You are not forbidden to maintain and to protect your culture, but first assimilate to that nation. So you are in Sweden for years. You cannot even speak Swedish. You are in England for years, and you cannot speak even English. No, this is not acceptable. For me, this is not fair. For me, this is not fair. Of course, everybody has freedom to maintain their culture, like Jews. Jews everywhere, they maintain their culture, but they contribute to the nation they are in. If you look at Jews, in any nation they are, you will find them speaking English. If Jews are in Russia, of course, they will speak Russians. Also, they will speak Hebrew. If they're in Ukraine, they will speak Ukrainians and they will speak Hebrew. If Jews are in England, they will speak English and they will speak Hebrew. But you allow people to come into your nation and establish neighborhood that look like a third world places, that look like a place where they come from. Why do you allow this? Why should you allow this? Why should you allow people to come into your nations and behave like third world people and terrorize your people? And people are allowing this. No. If these ideas didn't work in Somalia until people decided to run from Somalia, and now a person, for example, this woman from America, Ilhan Omar, let me respect to say about this. A woman who cannot even allow to compete with men in her own nation. If this Ilhan Omar was in Somalia, she could not be allowed even to speak, sometimes even to speak. But once they are in Europe, they want to lecture those people. This is what amazes me. You have run for your own nation, a nation that didn't protect you, a nation that didn't give you anything, everything, but you are a nation that have given you freedom of expression, and you are not creative. You start attacking those people, you are taking advantage of that nation, like this woman. If you see the arrogance of these people, for example, Somalians, we are now crossing to America, have been allowed in America, and they are not creative, they are not adding something, they are not adding value to those nations, but they are too arrogant. They are too arrogant. And whatever you want to correct them or to engage them, or they want to protect them, they say, oh, you are a racist. You are a racist. You are a racist. You are Islamophobic. No. No, it's not Islamophobic. This is a discussion. If people have tendency of going somewhere and threatening people and terrorizing people, shouting religious slogan, do you say that I should not fear these people? No, I must be fearful. I'm not against their religion. I'm not judging people based on their religion, but based on their action. And sometimes maybe I can get into trouble with YouTube, but I am not against religion. Do you want to tell me that I should not fear these people? These people are taking advantage of European system, a well-established system. If your nation has not given you chance to be who you are, maybe as a woman like Ilhan Omar, you are in America, be at least creative. Thank America and contribute something to America. You start fighting their president, you start lamenting this and this, complaining about this and this and this and this, or you are racist, or you are Islamophobic, you are bigotry. No. If you don't want England, if you see England is racist, if you see America is racist, if you see French is racist, go back to your nation. Go back to Somalia and you will see. Ilhan Omar, I am sure she cannot, she don't want to be in Somalia, but she is in America because there is freedom, because she is protected. Now she is too arrogant. You blame about America, that America is racist, they are Islamophobic. No. If you see England is Islamophobic, if you see there is no freedom of religion in England, maybe in UK, in Spain, in France, or in America, go back to Sharia law. Why did you learn from a Sharia law nation to go into a nation that you call as haram or kafir? You learn from a Sharia nation and you are going to a haram nation and you are complaining about the system there. Why did you learn from your nation? So Europe is being taken advantage, and this will kill Europe. This will destroy Europe. Even America will not be spared. Thank God for America, for people like Trump. They try to preserve America. This is good, not just for Europe, but for other places. Even our leaders from third world or developing nations, we are learning from Europe the order, rule of law, freedom of expression, but do not allow this civilization to be taken advantage. You don't allow people to go into London and threaten Jews who are contributing much to England. And you allow these people who are doing nothing to improve England, to improve French, to go and occupy cities and terrorize people, terrorize business, disrupt studies. You are killing even your universities. Your prestige university are being destroyed by these radical left peoples. Everybody wanted to be in Harvard, want to be in Oxford, want to be in Cambridge and other universities, but you allow people, these radical people, to camp in and terrorize people. So you are killing even your universities. Other peoples who are serious, like India, like China, they will outrun you in a few years to come. If you continue like this, even nations like Qatar is being accused to fund these campings and these demonstrations. But have you seen campings in Qatar? Have you seen college camping in Qatar? So why not in Egypt? Have you seen Palestine campings in Egypt colleges and the universities? In Saudi Arabia, they cannot allow this. Have you seen this in China? China always, they say that they support Palestine, but they cannot allow this nonsense. You allow people to terrorize people who are studying in your universities. These issues, these ideologies that didn't work in other places, if people learn from Saudi Arabia, from Afghanistan, from Pakistan, and they come to your nations and they start educating you that all coexistence, freedom of faith, or you are Islamophobic, or you are bigotry, you are racist, I say you better be a racist and protect your nations, protect your universities, protect your nations, protect your civilizations. Why do you allow chaos, chaotic? Should now London, that everybody is part of London, everyone to be in London. So maybe some nations, maybe Europeans are tired of being a first world. We, people from outside, whom we have lived under oppressions, no freedom of expressions, fear, and people who have lived in terrorized nations, they have tried to sound the alarm to this European, but European, sometimes they see themselves as superior, they consider themselves they know much. I saw sometime a person, I think it was a leader from, I think United Arab Emirates, and say that, you know, sometimes Europeans see themselves as they understand Islam, that they care much, but he said that in a few years to come, Europe will witness more chaos because those people who have not been allowed to preach, some imams that are being allowed in Egypt are being allowed to preach in Qatar, not allowed to preach in a source of Islam in Saudi Arabia. They are being allowed to preach freely in England. some organizations like Muslim Brotherhood, that sometimes they radicalize people. They are being allowed to conduct free, and sometimes they collect money to fund terrorists. We have seen now, and I think this week in Italy, they have arrested some people who were using this organization and the charities and NGOs to fund Hamas. So the well-established system of Europe is being taken advantage by these people. These people have learned, as the former Muammar Gaddafi said sometime, that I think we will not need to use gun or sword to conquer Europe, because the 50 million people or Muslim in Europe, they will conquer Europe from within. That's why people don't want to go into China. As I said earlier, based on my knowledge, the base of my knowledge, most people, this Islam, they don't like Western Europe or Europe. They don't like Europe at all. Always, most of them, not all of them, I'm not that guy who generalizes all people. No, there are good people who like those nations. But most of them, I said most of them, they support China, they support Russia, they support North Korea. For them, anyone who is against Western Europe, who is against America, to them is their friend. So once you see them in England, they don't want England. They don't love England as it is. They would want England to be Islamic nation. They want to establish Sharia law in those nations. That's why they are taking advantage of your system. So judges in Europe again, use common sense. Just use common sense. If people come and groom your kids, people come and rape your women, terrorize your people, sometimes kill your people, why can't you deport them? Deport them from where they are. People come into England and they say they don't like England, yet they learn from their nations whether they were persecuted. So Ilhan Omar, if you don't like America, why don't you go into Somalia, where you cannot be allowed even to rule? You cannot be a leader in Somalia and you are a woman. You can't be allowed. So these people should be grateful. It reminds me a Bible verse from Isaiah that says that a wicked man, even if he is given a chance, even if he is favored, yet he will not learn. Even in a land of upright, they will commit or they will deal in a bad manner. To summarize that Bible verse, it says that even these people, sometimes Europeans maybe think if you can invite, you feel pity, you show mercy to these people, and you think maybe once they will be in England or they will be in Germany, they will assimilate themselves. No, they have their own hidden agenda. A person has been living for 20 years in German, and yet he can even speak German. A person living in England, at least me from far away there, I can try to speak English. And I don't know, sometimes I don't understand. If good people want to immigrate to Europe, to go to at least to contribute something, for me, I believe, if I am allowed to a certain nation, first of all, I should respect those people. And if I am immigrating to Europe or to England or to Germany, I should be there to add something. Not to destroy those nations, not to take advantage of their systems. Look, Jews, wherever they went, they have added value. But people, they go there, they end up blaming the system, or you are racist, or there is this and this and this. Go back to your nations. Go back to your nation. If you don't like the way of life of English, you don't like how they wear, how they dress, you don't like their system, you don't like their public transport, you don't like their music, their freedom, go back to Pakistan. Go back to Sharia law nations. So also this is my opinion for my brothers, whether you are black, whether you are Arab, whether you are Muslim, you are Christians. For me, I suggest once you have been allowed in a certain nation, try to build something. Add something to those nations. You don't you go and try to change those people, to change their culture. Respect their culture. Their culture, what you despise, is what made them great. Until you learn from your nation to go through their nation. So respect their culture. Respect their culture. Why do you want to be a Nigerian in England? Of course. Why do you want to be a Somali in Germany? Why don't you want to be an Afghanistan in Italy? Sure, not against your culture, preserve your culture, but first be assimilated in that culture. You are in Sweden for years and you cannot even speak Swedish. This is not fair. This is not fair. And as I said, I am not against anyone. For me, it is my policy. I don't support people based on their color. Even if you are black like me, if your value and your conduct is not right, I want to support you based on your color. Even if you are black, you are white, you are Christian, or whatever, if your conduct is against values, I want to support you. So this is also my call to all people, people from other places. You are in England, try to be English. Try to be English. You are in England, be English. You are in England for years and you cannot even speak English. You cannot even sing the national anthem of England. God save the king. No, that should not be so. Be like Elon Musk and other immigrants. Add something. Those people in France who are playing football, they're adding something there. Try to build something. Don't just want people to feel pity of you and receive free treatment, receive free care. You want to sleep in a 5-star hotel for free. No, try to build something. This is what Jews did. Wherever you find Jews, whether in Australia, whether in South Africa, whether in Russia, whether in Germany, they have built something. They have added something to those nations. So I don't want to take advantage of people's work. Why should other people work and you eat free? You are in nation. Also, try to maybe they can try to take care of you for a certain moment, for 13 years, maybe 1 or 2. But try to catch up. Try to catch up. Imagine a person like somebody who killed some people in America, somebody Jabal. You are invited in America, yet you pay good for evil. Or a person who killed Jewish people in England there. I think he was from Syria. You are invited from Syria. And what you pay a nation that had welcomed you and has given you freedom to be who you are. You are in England, you are in America, and you end up blaming. Where do you want to be? If you cannot succeed in those nations, where will you succeed? Where do you want to go? What do you want to be given? So my friend, don't terrorize people. Don't take advantage. Is for me, if I was given a chance to be in England, in Germany, first of all, I would like to learn and speak a best German, a best English. I would like to be maybe a Tanzanian in England. No, I will preserve my culture, but first I will learn their culture. I will be full citizen, a responsible citizen in that nation. And I will work hard to build my own thing and prove that we are not here to take advantage of some people's nation. We are here to add something. Thank God for those immigrants who are adding something to the nation they are in. I always feel sad when I hear people just blaming this, saying this, oh, people are racist, oh, the system favor this and this. For whatever reason, try to work. Try to work. Don't just be in a hotel and receive free food, free medication, free this and this. No, 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 no. That should not be so, my brother. This is shame. You are shaming your nations. And some people, they blame these nations. And once they want to be deported, they don't want. They rush to court. So you said that you don't like this nation. You don't like their civilization, how they dress, how they behave, and you say they are racist. And yet, when you want to be deported, you don't want. Why now? Huh? Why? Why? Huh? This is not right. This is not right. This is not right. This is not right. So, my friends who has been watching me, thank you for tuning in. Today we are discussing about Europe. Europe has been a refuge. Most people were tormented in other places in the world, has been running to Europe to receive treatments. People have been running from Europe. So Europe should remain so. You know, Europe has been a leader in many things. So sometimes even leaders from other places, once they are trying to catch up and building their city, we want to build a city like London. We want to build a city like Paris. We want to build our nation to be like Europe. Once you see something good in your nation, we used to say that we want to build something. We want to be like Europe. We want to be. So, do you want to abandon that? That? Do you want to abandon that? So you are now allowing chaos. People sleeping in the streets. People are selling goods in Paris. Huh? Are you allowing this chaos in Europe? My dear Europeans and leaders, you left leaders. Are you allowing this? We are praying for Europe, especially Christians. You should rise and pray for Europe. Young men, Gen Z, rise and fight for your Europe. Otherwise, in a few years to come, soon or later, you will be crying. And I am sure Europeans will cry. Europe will cry. Your grandchildren will cry. Europe will cry. I assure you. If you continue like this, you continue allow people coming to your nation unchecked, Europe will cry. Europe will be center of radicalism and terrorism if you don't fight to stop this. Because these people, these radical preachers whom are not allowed in Saudi, a source of Islam, some imams who are not allowed in United Arab Emirates, are not allowed in Qatar, even in Pakistan. These people are tired of terrorism. In Egypt, the Egyptians, have you seen a border between Egypt and Gaza? It is a massive, massive, massive border. The Egyptians, they don't want Palestinians in their own nation, because Palestinians, wherever they have been, they go there, you welcome them, and they want to overthrow your nation, they want to destroy your nation. It has been so in Jordan. They were welcomed in Kuwait, and once there were a war between Kuwait and Saddam Hussein, and they supported Saddam Hussein, and the Kuwait expelled them. It has been so in Lebanon. They were welcomed in Lebanon, and now look Lebanon. So, I cannot allow anybody to come into my house and terrorize my kid. And these people who say about the coexistence, and some preachers, even some preachers, why they cannot adapt even one immigrant to their home? Why can't Emmanuel Macron adapt maybe some Palestinian to his home? Why can't Angela Merkel welcome some? Why can't Obama and these people who support? Why can't Joe Biden take some people and welcome them at his home? Why can't they do that? These people, these leaders, are not affected by what you feel in the streets, because they are secured. Sometimes they are not in the street. They don't experience this chaos in the street. That's why they say, oh, we should allow these people, but they don't feel it. I would like to see maybe Emmanuel Macron. And the problem now, some of these leaders, they don't have even a kid. Maybe they don't feel the future as you feel. So Europeans, how your kids will live, how your grandkids will live maybe in 200 years to come. Some of your leaders, they don't have even kids. Maybe they don't have something to wear. They don't have something to wear. They have nothing to lose. That's why they allow these immigrants, this chaos, and this is their political capital. Remember, for them, these leftists, for them, more immigrants means more votes. To them, more immigrants means more votes. So rise up, patriots of Europe. Take your nations back. Take your London back from Sadiq. Oh my God, I mentioned Sadiq. God forgive me. I mentioned Sadiq. So take your nations back. Why a peaceful nation like Sweden now is experiencing chaos, and we hear the no-go zone in Sweden? Why should a Swedish woman fear to walk free in the street? No, deport these people. Deport them back to their nations. You better be a racist, but protect your nation. As for me, if I am a father and you come to my house, for example, take example, you are a father and you invite some people into your house and they come and rape your daughter, or they want to rape your doctor, what do? If you invite somebody to your house as your father, they want to rape your wife, what do? They come to your house, what do? Because a country is like a house. If you are a leader, you are a father and a mother of that nation. So do you welcome people to come to rape your children and you protect them because of human rights? No, this should be so. These people who are being allowed, sometimes they don't consider themselves even English or German or Italian. They start importing these outdated 7th century ideas and ideologies to your nations. This ideology didn't work in Somalia, Ilhan Omar. You are not even allowed to speak, to talk to men. Do you think Ilhan Omar, if he was in Somalia, could she dare to speak to a Somalia president as she's speaking to Trump? No. Some people in England, if they have been in Iran or in Saudi or Qatar, they could have been hanged. You try to rape somebody in Saudi, guess what will happen to a person who rapes a young girl in Saudi? But for you in England, you protect them, you give them free food, and you give them a lawyer to defend them. Of course, you are a free society and you are different, but don't allow your system to be taken advantage. Don't allow your system to be taken advantage. If people don't want to be English, they don't want to adhere to your value, the same value who made you great are being taken advantage. And people want to change them. I saw some person in YouTube recently, and he's saying that the rise in his word, let me quote him, that the rise of Christianity in England is a threat to coexistence. No, my brother. It is Judeo-Christians' value that made England great until you, from a Sharia nation, you learn from your nation to England. So how could you say that the rise of Christian in British or Britain or in UK is a threat to social coexistence and peace? How could you say that? If you see Christian is a threat to peace in England, go back to a Sharia nation. For me, I believe it is this value that made Western Europe great. And now they are being challenged. And some leaders, even a king, they are not even bold. Sometimes I saw Keir Starmer, the Prime Minister of England, was asked by a journalist that PM, we still a Christian nation. Of course, maybe we don't want to establish a theocracy. Even me, I don't support a Christian nation. No, but England is a Christian majority nation, and it was founded, or what made these nations great is this Judeo-Christian value that advocate for peace, advocate for civilization, for respect of human rights, is this value that made them great. Until we people from other nations, whether we didn't have, or we don't have those values, we want to be in those nations. So how comes that you are coming from Somalia, a Sharia nation, or Afghanistan, a Sharia nation, and you go to German, or you go to UK, and you are annoyed, you are offended by we British celebrating about Christmas? Why are you offended? You are a wicked man. You are an evil man who pays good for evil. Thank God for good immigrants. Some of them are doctors. Some of them are athletes, footballers, and whatever. Some of them work in different aspects of life. But for those bad ones, those who want to go in England and establish Sharia law there, that is evil. That is not acceptable. That is unfair. And I can dare to say that is demonic. That is very, very bad behavior. Why are you not creative? Eh? As for me, I have been in Somalia. I am a woman in Somalia where I cannot even allowed to speak. I can't even allowed to contest in any position. Yet I am now in America. I am now in England. I am too arrogant, insulting a president, insulting this and that. Why these people? They take. If a person is in Saudi Arabia, for whatever reason, they cannot criticize a king or MBS, a prince of Saudi Arabia. They cannot criticize them. But once they are in America, once they are in England, they are free to insert a president, to insert a PM, to insert anybody. You go into a nation that has given you a chance to be who you are, and you're not creative, and you see those citizens in that nation that they have been allowed, they have been welcomed you, and they are working to pay you. Sometimes you are eating for free, you are getting medication for free, and these taxpayers who are funding you, you calling them haram, or they dress in bad manner, they are racist, yet they have allowed you there. This is not acceptable. This is evil. This is pure evil. For me, this is pure evil. This is not humanity at all. So, my friend, first of all, as we finish up, I urge Europeans to rise and take back your nations. Don't allow radical left to destroy your nation. Don't allow these failed ideologies in other parts of the world to destroy your nations. Ideology that didn't work in Somalia have not made these Sharia nations great. Do you think that they will advance England? This is what you call coexistence. Sometimes is chaos. I cannot coexist with a person who sees me as a devil. A person who calls me kafir, who calls me haram. How can I coexist with him? People who see themselves as superior, and sometimes they want to kill me because of my faith. How can I coexist with these people? Have we paid Angela Merkel, those millions of people you allowed from Syria? Have they improved German? Let the people come in German, let people come in England, but let them come in a legal way and allow people who come to add something to our nations. There are good people who want to be in your nations, and sometimes you don't want them to be there, but you allow people who have nothing to add, who come to establish chaos, who come to destroy your streets, to terrorize your people, who come to groom young girls, who come to rape your daughters, who come to take advantage of your legal systems, of your health systems. Sometimes your citizens cannot get right medical care because the system is overwhelmed by immigrants. This is not fair. And for you, my brother and sisters, you have given a chance to be in a certain nation. Be great if determined to add something to those nations. Preserve your culture, or for sure preserve your culture, but again, be assimilated. Be Englishman, speak good English. Understand how their culture works. Respect their culture. That culture you don't like is what made them great until you, from a good culture, you said, I cannot take it anymore. I want to be in England. I want to be in Germany. I want to be in France. I want to be in Australia. I want to be in Canada. I want to be in America. This is what made them great. So why do you want to change them abruptly? From nowhere, you want to change England into a Sharia nation. And are you English? Thank God for some patriots, those we have witnessed in UK. The demonstration of unite the kingdom. Take back your nations. Take back your nations. Don't allow this chaos, this Palestinian scam. My God. What is England to do with the Palestinian cause? You Englishmen, you German, you Norway, you Spain. Why is Spain so obsessed with Palestine? You PM, Pedro, the Spain PM. Why do you care much about Palestine? Why do you care much about Palestine? France, Emmanuel Macron, can't you help Congo? The people who speak your language, who speak French, can't you help Malians? Mali. There has been a series of coups in former French colonies. So French has failed. And most nations that were under French colonization in Africa, they are in chaos. And they are the one witnessing a series of coups. Most of them, if you look at the recent coup in Africa, have happened under the former colonies of French. Yet French cannot help those nations, but they are rushing to help Palestine. Why Europeans, whom we term you as civilized people, uneducated people, why don't you use even your common sense? I see some people calling boycott Israel, yet Morocco is buying weapons from Egypt. Do you think you English men? I saw sometime Netherlands. Some people are calling for Netherlands to ban export of some parts of weapons to Israel. They are calling for ban of weapon sales or weapon business between Israel Netherlands. We are now witnessing Spain obsessed to fight Israel. Yet look the former colonies of Spain in South America there. Chaos is there. Drug business is there. And development and every kind of uncivilization. But Spain is not caring. And for those people who believe in spirituality, sometimes I say there is a war going on in Europe. If some people don't rise in Europe and fight spiritually, there is a spiritual battle going on in Europe. It seems that Europeans have been blinded. There is darkness trying to cover, to regain control, to regain foot in Europe. For those who believe in God and who believe in spiritual battle, there is a battle going on in Europe. So some people should rise and pray in Europe. Europe now is falling in terms of spirituality. Europe is very, very, very down. So I cannot understand it because this is spiritual. I don't understand that people who come and people who kill people, who can walk into the street and terrorize people and bomb people into the arena, maybe like the Manchester bombing, the London Bridge bombing, Charlie Hebdo bombing. These people who terrorize people while shouting the religious slogans, yet the politicians, the leaders in Europe are defending them. I cannot understand this except it is perpetrated or given power by some spiritual forces. So for those who believe in spirituality, there is a war going on in Europe. And these European leaders, most of them are atheists. They don't adhere to any faith. That's why are being taken advantage, because in the book of Revelation, there is a verse saying that, and Satan in the book of Revelation is called as a deceiver of nation. So Satan is deceiving European leaders. That's why you see Spain fighting with all their power, fighting Israel. Yet Spain cannot help, doing nothing to help their former colonies in South America. That's why you can see France, Emmanuel Macron, fighting with all their power, fighting Israel. Yet Emmanuel Macron is doing nothing to solve people conflict in Africa, to their former colonies, where people speak French like himself, in Congo for years. And I believe French have some power to help to calm things there, but they're doing that. So this is spiritual. This is spiritual battle. This is a spiritual battle. There is a spiritual battle going on in Europe, especially except some people rise in Europe and fight this spiritual battle. The ancient gods, as some faith rabbi from America by Jonathan Kahn said that as Christianity entered Europe, light came into Europe, and these ancient gods were destroyed. As now Europe is rejecting God, so darkness is coming back into Europe, and these ancient gods are returning back into Europe. So brothers, Christian pastors, those who you are in Europe, you must also rise and fight this fight, both spiritual and physically. This is a spiritual battle, because you cannot understand You don't understand that's why Europeans care much about Palestine, while Egypt recently is buying gas from Israel. Yet Europe is saying that we should stop business with Israel, but Egyptians, the neighbor of Gaza, is buying gas from Egypt, is buying gas from Israel for $35 billion. United Arab Emirates is doing business, massive business with Israel. Morocco is buying weapons. Now Israel is a third nation to sell weapons to Morocco. But Europe, England, and I think a weak, and sad enough, he looks like me, but I don't support people based on their color. This United Kingdom FM, David Lammy, for me, he is very, very weak. For me, David Lammy is very, very weak leader. They speak good English. They want to lecture Israel. Oh, we should ban some weapons to Israel. We should stop doing business with Israel. We should sanction some, what they call extremist ministers in Israel. So why Europe is so obsessed by, why do you put so much care for Palestine while Saudi Arabia, they don't allow even, have you seen this demonstration of supporting Hamas? I say Hamas. This from river to the sea demonstration. This free Palestine cause. Have you seen it in Tehran? Did you see camping Tehran University? Or in Qatar University? Or in Morocco University? These people have discovered this Palestine cause is a scam of essential. But Canada cares much about Palestine. We should sanction Israel. That now Belgium wants to join South Africa to sue Israel, to file a case against the genocide case in ICJ. That Netherlands wants to stop business with Israel. My brothers, you Netherlands, you Dutch people, do you think that, do you care much about Palestine than Egypt? Egypt is buying gas for $35 billion from Egypt. Now, I read somewhere that Morocco has now decided that, I think it is Rafael or LBT system, to be a legal seller of their weapon, to be a legal tender to sell the weapons. Some France has been sanctioning and putting bureaucrats against Israel companies in the French exhibition of weapons, and sometimes they don't want to engage in these businesses. They have recognized Palestine, yet the Arabs, Saudi Arabia is not allowed even preaching about the Palestine cause. These people have discovered. These people have discovered this Palestine thing is a scam. You are killing your nations. When you allow evil people to come to study in Europe, you allow evil people, like that man from America, forgotten his name, invited in America to study, yet once in America, he started spreading hate and demonstration and a college camping, and they wanted Trump wanted to deport him. These radical judges left lunatic, as Trump says. They defended her. They defended him. Why it should be like this? Huh? These people are taking advantage of you, and they are laughing at you. And they hope that you will implode yourself. You will commit suicide. So please, don't commit suicide. Rise up, pray for your nation. If you're a Christian, stand up and pray for your nation. Pray for this spiritual battle. That a devil, a Satan, the Satan who destroys, who deceives nations, will not deceive your leaders. Once Europe, once British, I am speaking about many things. Once British was supporting Israel, British was a great nation. You may try even to follow up Derek Prince lectures. Derek Prince was a former British preacher, a famous one. He said that once British was supporting Israel, was a great nation. But since British stopped supporting Israel, British ceased to be an empire. So, for you Europeans who think that you care much about human rights, why can't you help people in Nigeria? Why do you not voice up against the torture of Christians in many places in Asia? This blasphemy law in Pakistan, Christian genocide in Nigeria, killings of people in Sudan, killings of people in Congo. Why just Palestine? People who start wars, then you rush to defend them. People started calling for ceasefire even before Israel was in Gaza. So these people are taking advantage of your nation. Dear Europeans, you will cry. You will cry. Europeans, you will cry. Some of your leaders don't have even kids. So they have nothing to worry. They have nothing to lose. They don't have even kids, so they don't care. But what Europe will you live? What Europe will your kids inherit? What England will your grandchildren inherit? So wake up, fight a good fight, both spiritually and physically. And when I say physically, I don't mean that you harm people or you take up a gun. No, fight in a legal way. Fight in a legal way, in a proper way, but don't allow few people to come into your country and occupy your streets and take advantage of your system and a political system. Why do you allow this nonsense? People who sympathize with terrorism. Why do you allow them in your nations? Can China allow this university camping in Shanghai? That's why China is rising, because they don't entertain nonsense. They don't entertain ignorance. That's why Saudi is changing. Saudi Arabia is changing. They have discovered that this ideology, if we keep with these ideologies, has not helped us. That's why Saudi Arabia, they don't allow even this prayer of Palestine cause. Try to go in Saudi, in Riyadh or in Jeddah, and start demonstration that you are supporting Palestine cause. Within no minutes, the police will arrive. And if you have a what you call Palestine flag, it will be confiscated. And perhaps if you are not Saudis, you will be deported immediately. If you are an imam and you started preaching hate and radicalization that supported terrorism, you will be arrested immediately in Saudi, a center a source of Islam. So why do you allow this? That's why China is rising. That's why now European Union, you are running to make deals with China, and you listen to China. And the Chinese, they don't have values you have. They don't care about human rights. They don't care about political rights. They don't care about freedom of speech, freedom of expression, freedom of worship, but they are using common sense. That's why I supported Trump. No matter how you view Trump or say he's a racist or whatever, but I've said, for me, I will never support this person because of their color. If a person is doing right, even if he's a Muslim, is a Hindu, is a Arab, is a black man, is a white, I will support them. And if a person is not doing good, whether you are black or whatever, I'm not supporting them. I'm not supporting David Lamy because he's black like me. I didn't even support Obama because he's black like me. No. You are trying to destroy a nation, a developed nation, and you want to turn a first world nation into a third world. I will not support you. I like order. I like civilization. That is what we want, even our nation. That's what we are playing, even our nation, to be like Europeans, to be like America. We want development. We want order. We want rule of law. We don't want to see people in the street doing business beside the roads. We don't want to see stuffs thrown here and there in the streets. But that's what's now going on in some parts of Paris, some parts of London. And you will be outnumbered. I saw some imam in Malmo, Sweden, making some statistics and saying that because these whites are not producing enough kids, and we Muslim maybe we have 60 or to 7 kids, in a few years we will outnumber them. And sure, you whites, you will be outnumbered. And I have said, maybe people will not believe me, maybe whites will be a last group before Jesus comes to be a tortured or persecuted group in the world, because most people don't like whites because of their past and because of your history. Chinese don't like you. Most of Africans don't like you. Most of Arabs don't like you. And even Indians, most of them, they don't like you. Now, try to imagine if China and India and black people and Arabs, they will gang up against you. So, try to protect your nations. I am very, very sad when I see people cannot celebrate free Christmas in their own nation. I am very sad when I see an immigrant has left a British girl, and yet the perpetrator is protected. I am very annoyed, and it is very sad. I am very sad when I see prestigious universities like Oxford, like Cambridge, like Harvard are being occupied by these people who don't want to start, but they only want to spread their failed ideology, their 7 essential ideologies that have not made their nations great, but you allow them in their universities, and Qatar, as is accused, funding them, funding these campings and these demonstrations, and you say that you care much about Palestine, but the Qataris, the Saudis, The Egyptians, they don't want even a single Palestinian in their nation. Why Egypt is not taking Palestinians? Why Egypt is not allowing Palestinians their own nation? Or they may have some claims that, if we allow them into our nation, they will lose their land. That's not true. That's not true. The Egyptians knows. Egyptians knows, and sometimes I praise them. I praise these leaders. They care about their own nations. I saw Sisi sometimes giving speech alongside his counterpart, President Ruto from Kenya, saying that no single Palestinians will be allowed in Egypt. And always they give their defense that, if we allow Palestinians in Egypt, they will lose their land. No. Egypt knows and Sisi knows that when you allow Palestinians your own nation, you have allowed chaos. You have allowed chaos. That is what they can do. That is the best they can do. They have done it in Kuwait. They did it in Jordan. They are doing it in Lebanon. That's why Saudi Arabia is not taking any Palestinian. Even Iran. Iran. Why Iran is not taking Palestinians? Why? Can't you imagine? Why have you stopped to use just you Europeans, you whites, you are educated people, you are rational people, you are civilized people. Why can't you just try to imagine that Iran and Ayatollah Khamenei, they have portrayed themselves as champion for Palestine cause, but no single Palestinian is allowed in Iran or in Iran. If Iran is not allowing Palestinians into their own nation, if Egypt is buying gas from Israel, if Morocco is buying weapons from Israel, why are you European? You think that you know much, you care so much, you know much about Islam, and you care much about this is hypocrisy. Even you Palestinian, if you are a Palestinian and you're watching me, these European leaders are fooling you. All they want is vote from people who sympathize with Palestine cause. That's why they recognize you by Twitter, but you cannot see any viable plan for establishment of Palestine. After the ceasefire in Gaza, sometime I was laughing. I saw generals and the military leaders from 18 nations, most of them from those nations who have recognized Palestine. They went in Israel to study about war and about success of Israel in Gaza war. You can see how these European leaders, they are fighting about Ukraine. They say they recognize Palestine, but they cannot send weapons. For example, let me give you an example. For example, there is a conflict going on between Russia and Ukraine. And Russia is a perpetrator and Ukraine is a victim. These European leaders are sending weapons to Ukraine to defend itself and to fight its righteous war against Russia. But these same leaders who have recognized Palestine, if you ask them, can you give Palestinians weapons to defend themselves against Israel, if Israel is a perpetrator, can England or France send weapons to Palestinians to defend themselves? No, they cannot. They don't trust Palestinians. This issue is symbolic, and for me, it is just for votes. They recognize Palestine just for votes. Nothing else. It's just cheap votes. It's just cheap votes. If, for example, Israel and Palestine, if Israel is a perpetrator and Palestine is a victim, like Russia and the Ukraine, so you are sending weapons to Ukraine, but you cannot trust the Palestinian to give. Why can't you give the Palestinian weapons to defend themselves against Israel? Why? Because they know what they are supporting. But what is pressure from voters that has compelled nations like England to recognize Palestine? But this is symbolic. Do you see any viable plan to establish a Palestinian nation? Have you seen even meeting? Can you see them how they are rushing? They don't sleep to try to solve the Ukraine-Russian. They are inviting now and then with Volodymyr Zelensky. They are sitting with him, planning how to end the Ukrainian Russian war. But have you seen any steps being taken to establish a Palestinian nation? No, these people knows. They know who are perpetrators. They know the truth, but they cannot handle the truth because they want to impress, they want to please their voters. For some reasons, they want to impress their voters, and sometimes they care about their interest in the Middle East. They care about their interest with Arab nations. That's why they recognize Palestine in symbolic. So don't allow this cause like Palestine to destroy your nation. Should Harvard University, a prestigious university, be destroyed for Palestine cause? Should you allow people to come and disrupt studies in Cambridge or Oxford just for Palestine cause? No. If you continue doing like this, Europe will be behind. That's why China, even India, is learning while Europe is in stagnation, because there is chaos and fighting, no understandings. The European Union, they have laws and regulations and a bureaucracy that complicate innovations. That's why now you don't see again big companies from Europe. Tell me a big company now. As now big companies are from America and from China. Big companies, even innovators. Do you now see innovators from Europe? Do you see scientific breakthrough from Europe? No. Why? Because of bureaucrats, because of laws and regulations and complication, especially from the EU, is destroying Europe. British, you broke yourself from Europe. So don't continue again in that path. Build a strong British again. German is a great nation. Don't allow to be caught up in these European matters. Thank God for serious nations like Viktor Orban, Hungary, or nations like Poland. I pray for Poland to rise, maybe to take a place of nations like Germany and France, because these nations, They have been given advantages, but they don't want to use it well. So we pray maybe other nations will rise, like Poland, like Hungary. These leaders from these nations like Poland and Hungary, they are serious. They care about their own nations. You don't allow people to come and terrorize a nation. You don't allow people to come and take advantage of your nation. So we pray for these nations. Maybe they will rise up. They will rise and overtake this nation like France or England sometime. I like England. I really love England. I really love UK. I love UK. That's why I'm speaking English. I love French also. I would like to learn French maybe, and some years if I get. Yes, I like to speak French also. But I love these nations because, why do I like them? Because of order. I like order. I like civilization. I like freedom of expression. I like democracy. So once I see these values in this nation, I am pleased. And when I see this nation are turning into third world, you don't know how to live in a third world nation, whether things are not working, whether leaders are like demigods, whether there is no freedom of political freedom. You go to vote, but your vote is not counted. Have you not seen this chaos in other part of the world, where leaders are in power for 40 years and they are winning in landslide? Do you want to go to those moments or to those states? No, don't allow that. Don't allow that. That's why a nation like China are serious. You cannot go in China and start a demonstration and disrupt people's work and loot, disrupt businesses. In Wuhan there, fighting for Palestine cause. China supports the Palestine cause. But have you seen Chinese doing anything about Palestine? Why do you send money into Gaza and the same money being used by Hamas to kill even your own citizens? And you don't care. And that's why I said it. This is a spiritual battle. There are people who kill even your own citizens, but yet you defend them. This amazes me. I cannot understand it. I cannot fathom this. I cannot. My mind cannot understand this. I cannot bear it. There's people who kill your own citizen, then you are supporting them, giving them money, and those money are going to buy weapons, to build tunnels, and kidnap your own citizens. Yet you see Israel as a perpetrator, and these people are victims. Europe has been good. Europeans have been good for many nations because most nations have been trying to learn. Politicians from other parts of the world, they say, let us build a society like Europe. Let us build a society like Europe where we respect each other, where we respect freedom of expression, freedom of religion, freedom of... people have been learning from these nations. So if Europe fall again, well, other nations will learn from. So don't allow your system to be taken advantage. Be like China sometimes. Be like China sometimes. China supports Palestine cause. Even Russia, the Russians, they say they support Palestine cause. But you cannot see a massive rally, a massive demonstration in Moscow and disrupt work, disrupt people's job, disrupt businesses. You cannot see this in Beijing. There is camping in Moscow University. No, no, not even in Turkey. Have you seen in Ankara or in Istanbul that there is a demonstration? There is a university camping that you suspend studies to allow people to demonstrate, to allow people to stand for Palestine. Hmm? Eh? Do you allow people to burn England flag in English soil? Can that happen in China? Hmm? That's why China is now doing whatever they want. They don't. Maybe Chinese at least they at least a little bit they respect America. If it wasn't for America, what Europe can do for China? Hmm? What England can do against China? What EU, European Union, can you do anything? Can you stop China? Can you stop Russia? Why Europe has become so weak? Because of these small things you are allowing in your nations. So as I was saying, now the electricity has went off here. This is a third world issue. So electricity has went off here now. But if you, this is my call for Europe. You people who care about your nation, take care of your nations. Don't allow these radical lefty leaders, whom sometimes have no even kids, they have nothing to war. And for the Christian in Europe, don't be ashamed. Fight a good fight. This is a spiritual battle. That's why you see these leaders of yours, they allow nonsense issues to come into your own nation. They don't fight for good causes, but they fight for evil. They don't push for freedom of worship for other nations. Why no Christian churches in Saudi, in Qatar, in Egypt? Why there is no same freedom that they enjoy in your nation? So these leaders should push this, but they cannot do this because, first of all, to them, more immigrants means more votes for leftists, for liberals in Europe. And as I say, this is a spiritual battle. That's why you see people who kill people, who terrorize people, they are being given a chance. So God bless you. Until next time, tomorrow we'll be here again. By God's grace, we will be here again. I urge you to subscribe to my channel, to comment, to share, and like. By doing so, you are supporting us to do better. So if you are new here, is our topic we were discussing about Europe is trying to become a third world country, and this is what we experienced from third world nations and developing nations. Here, the electricity has went off. So this is what you want in Europe. We are not praying for you to experience this. Let not your grandchildren experience what we experience in third world nations. Ask those people who have been in terror-torn nations. Ask people from North Nigeria. Ask those people in Somalia. That's why they don't like those nations, but once you tell them to deport them to Somalia, they don't want to be in Somalia. There is Imam or a Sheikh, I read about him, Mahijubi, I think, if I can remember his name, was from France, and complained that the French flag is bad, the French society is satanic, and he was deported to Tunisia, I think, Tunisia or Algeria, and he didn't want to go back to Tunisia. You are in France, and you saying this, my brother. If you are joining for us here, we are in dark because of the electricity. The electricity has went off, and this is the reality of third world nations. If European you want to go to this, just continue. But back to the Sheikh, he said that France flag is satanic, whatever, and this satanic is bad, and they deported him, and he didn't want to go back to his nation. That is goodness of Europe. That's why even people who call Europe Haram or Kafir nations, they don't want to remain in their own Sharia nation. They don't want to remain or to go to China. Because China, there is no freedom. There is no freedom like they can experience in England. The freedom you can experience in UK or France or Germany or Sweden is not the same freedom you will experience in China. That's why people are taking advantage. What I hate is taking advantage of legal systems, healthcare systems, and other systems in Europe that are being taken advantage by these immigrants. That's why you don't see this demonstration in college camping in Moscow, in Shanghai, in Beijing, in Tokyo, in Qatar, in Cairo, in Dubai. Why? They have discovered this nonsense cause. So my brothers and sisters, thank you for tuning in. Thank you for those who have subscribed to our channel. Thank you for those who liked. Thank you for those who commented. God bless you. We are not against anybody's race. We are not against anybody's religion. What we fight for is freedom for everybody. If a Muslim is allowed to build a mosque in, thank God, we are back. The electricity is back. So I was saying, what we are fighting for, as I said earlier, I don't support people based on their color. That's what I believe, and that's what our great leaders like Mandela and Martin Luther King Jr. fought for. They fight for equality, equal opportunity, but don't take advantage of a certain system. That's what we support for. That's what we stand for. That's why I want to support people like David Lammy or Barack Obama because he's black like me. No. I want to do that. And I will not be against anybody based on their color or their language or their nationalities. But we will judge people based on their content and based on their actions. So what I am saying is this: don't allow this nonsense and uncivilization culture to be imported. Most of evil in Europe is what I call imported evil. These stabbings, most of them are imported evil. As I am speaking here, there is a bar near here. Is praying. Is now a midnight here. I am, and the bar here is playing music in a loud voice, very loud voice here. The bar is playing music. This is what we are going on in uncivilized nations. So you allow a bar to play music in residential areas. This is chaos going on. This is what we hate. That's why when we see orders in Europe, in some nations, when you call the police, maybe it can take 3 days for them to come, or they will not come at all. But in some nations, when you call police, maybe within 5 or 10 minutes, the police have arrived. This is what we want. That's why we support Europe. That Europe should remain a symbol, a beacon of hope for different people around the globe. That's what we are fighting for. That's what we are supporting for. So as we conclude, we are not against anyone, we're not against any race, we are not against any color, but what we are fighting for is freedom for all. As I was saying, if a Hindu man or a Muslim is allowed to build their place of worship in Birmingham, in Manchester, in Bonn, in Stuttgart, in Hamburg, in Lisbon, so let it be so. Let other religion also, maybe Christian, be allowed to build their own place of worship in Qatar, in Riyadh, in Jeddah, in Cairo, in Rabat, in Tunisia, in Nigeria, in Kuwait, in Baghdad, in Pakistan, without any interference. So God bless you. Like, share, comment. We will be here again tomorrow, and God bless you so much. Goodbye. Have a nice day wherever you are. Goodbye. If you are tuning in, all right, I ask you to subscribe and share. We'll be here again tomorrow. By God's grace, we discuss about different topics, especially in Africa. By some time we cross outside Africa, wherever there is a topic of interest. Goodbye.